You're listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner.
Hey guys, it's Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner. Today we have Keith Kelley and Porter Hayes of Team Arkansas. Gentlemen, what's going on tonight?
Not much.
Not too much at all.
I see we're doing the driving show, which is always kind of fun. I always love these kind of shows where we see the guy like trying not to crash a car when he's talking.
I'm actually pulling in right now, so we're good.
Okay, that's pretty funny. I love it. So what's interesting too, and this is just sort of a team building concept. One of the big discussions this year absolutely has been the advantage or disadvantage of recruiting as an alumni versus a non-alumni team. With a non-alumni team, you have a bigger net, obviously, of players you can recruit, but there's no inherent loyalties. And for an alumni team like Team Arkansas, you can actually recruit from a very passionate and loyal fan base. So Keith, when you're recruiting, how has having a fan base that's energized by like Musselman's like great run this year in the tournament, like how is that helping you recruit this year after the COVID abbreviated 2020?
Well, personally, I would talk to guys last year, we didn't get to make it obviously, but I made sure that they knew that feeling of not being able to participate in TBT, that feeling of not being able to be out there playing for money and just to remind them of what that feels like and staying in touch with them. And obviously, you put it you hit the hammer on the head with talking about Musselman this year and the success they had this past season. That in itself, I mean, that's going to make any guy that's played recently want to come back and put that red and white on and play for primetime television again.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a really great way to get your brand out there. Porter, obviously being an Arkansas fan as well, being someone who's attached to sort of the program, someone who really is a big Arkansas guy. How is the fan base in Arkansas starting to revolve around or starting to really congeal around this team? So we've seen you out in some local press. It's getting really a hype. How is the groundswell in Arkansas looking for Team Arkansas?
I think it all starts with just the success of all the programs. The football team, they got a new head coach with Sam Pittman, Musselman's success, and then the baseball team. So you've got all three seasons covered with successful programs. And, Arkansas is just a unique state where Arkansas Razorback sports is all we have in the state and how the fans really attach themselves. I mean, you talk about fan is short of fanatics, and this fan base is fanatics. Like, if they're not mentioned on top 10 lists, they're coming to Twitter. Like Arkansas Twitter's notorious for,
we've noticed
anything bad, it is. And it's kind of like the passion that Musselman has, win or lose. Arkansas is the same way, win or lose. They're going to give you the best they got. And I think with the success of the TBT tournament last year and the bubble and the attention it got and having guys play on different teams from Arkansas, they didn't just stick to one team. So now trying to get them to come together and with the success of the Elite Eight run, now you're getting these people to say, oh, we're going to play basketball in the summer. A lot of these fans didn't know the TBT even existed until this year. So really getting these fans on board, getting this camaraderie, you're talking about the alumni versus the non-alumni. With Arkansas being that unique state where once a hog, always a hog, is easier to try to get these guys to play together.
Keith, it's also, that's a great point that Port's raising about bringing people together. Arkansas is the kind of school that, while it's a heavyweight school, does tend to recruit relatively within region, within state. One major strength you have is a lot of guys in the program, even though they play overseas or play in different countries, still make their homes and off seasons in the Arkansas area. Does that have a built-in advantage for your team cohesion and like in the pregame or the camps leading up to the tournament berth?
I think that has a tremendous advantage. You talk about wanting to get practice in, and you don't have guys from New York and California and Ohio and scattered all across the country. Everybody's, within a couple of hours outside of one guy on our roster right now. So that in itself, I mean, scheduling practices, scheduling maybe some events for fundraising, raising some funds for expenses to the games. That and even the chemistry, guys hang out, guys, talk because they're so close together. I mean, that has a tremendous advantage, especially for TBT.
Absolutely. I'm going to stay with Keith for one more question. That's a great answer. Arkansas, and I say this with all due respect as a Memphis fan who kind of hates Arkansas, obviously. As you guys know, I'm a huge Memphis fan, and that's a a soft rivalry, not Tennessee, Memphis, and not, some of the things you guys deal with in the SEC, but there is a soft rivalry there. So I don't usually root for you guys, but I do understand that Arkansas has a wonderful team history. The 40 minutes of hell, guys like Big Nasty winning a title when Clinton was still president back in the 90s. There's been a lot of different styles played at Arkansas. In fact, some of it has been exported now to St. John's. We have Mike Anderson up here now, who's an Arkansas guy. What kind of style do you see this team playing? There's a lot of really explosive athletes on this team, led by Barford coming back over from the Underdogs. How is this team going to play as a style? I'm just curious.
I think it's a little bit too early to tell. We're not, we don't have our roster finalized. We still got, a couple of weeks, or whatever. But with the depth and with, being able to have team-free players and possibly, some more, I think this could be a fastest 40 2.0. We'll have the depth, we'll have the size, we'll have the explosiveness. I think we could really use, 9 or 10 guys going up and down the floor really fast, and we could, strengthen our advantages and weaken the defense. And I think we'll, like I said, it is too early, but we've got the depth to do some pretty crazy things.
Yeah, the thing about TBT is interesting, and this is, I think, doesn't get harped on enough, is because it is a one-shot tournament. It's a winner go home. It's not so much a league as an event, right? So you can have strengths and numbers. You can speed people up and force mistakes. You can start to really cheap baskets are lifeblood in this sort of an event. You want to get some cheap buckets, and the style you can play with that DNA of the Hogs basketball can be really fast. You guys look at where to go. Obviously, it's not completely chosen yet, but Porter, I know you guys are looking kind of going to Wichita. And have you started looking at some of your opponents out there that may be looking at there? It's one of the softer regions so far as teams entering. There hasn't been a lot of teams trying to go to Wichita yet. I know obviously the Shocks are going to host. There's some talk about possibly Eagles or maybe even OE ending up there. Like, what kind of seed, what kind of path are you thinking you might be trying to get up there, you think?
Well, you'd like to get a 2 to 3 seed. Of course, you're not going to be the number 1 seed because, the past history of Team Arkansas in the TBT, not deserving of that 1 seed unless you just get that stacked roster and you win a couple of games. So we expect that because, you got to earn your respect and earn that number 1 seed, especially with there are only 4 regions. Yeah. But yeah, of course, you try to look and see what teams may go where and who you might have a chance to, go up against. But you're really trying to build your own team this year. We're really trying to really get the continuity, build a lot of the alumni teams, and really prove that, we're not just a one and done team or, get out the first round, really play it one game at a time. And, whoever we face is whoever we face. And we're really excited about this team and this roster and really making a name for ourselves.
Yeah, looking at the region too, I agree with that. You guys are definitely deserving of a high seed due to the talent you've already amassed, with obviously some reinforcements also on the way. Look at some of these teams though, Keith. You're applying against the Aftershocks, which will have a decent team and they'll be the host team. You're looking also at, I'm trying to get the list right now. You're looking at Florida TNT, who, by the way, we're going to have Terry on soon. Terry Hughes is in front of the program. He's going to have he has an absolutely loaded roster. So they're also going to be one of those 2-3 type teams in there. You're going to have Kimchi Express from the program, definitely going to be lower down the tree, but a tough out when you play them. And of course, you guys might be matching up with Mr. TBT, Casper Ware, and the Cheaters out there. So it's a pretty interesting region to be going to. Is there anybody you're looking forward to? Is there anybody you kind of want out of that group? Or are you trying to, is there anybody you're almost like think you match up really well with, like early on?
Are you asking me if we want to go to Charleston to take on Hurt That? No, I'm kidding. No, there's some really good teams. You mentioned the Wichita State team. They got a really good team. I think most of the guys they got played in Spain and averaged 20 a game. Yeah. And then you got Casper Ware and the LA Cheaters and Florida TNT, Antonio Blakeney. There's some really good, there's not a lot of teams in the region yet, but for the teams that are there already, it's pretty good, pretty low.
I think it's a pretty easy lesson to take from TBT too, is there's no soft touches. There's absolutely no soft touches in the sense that you're not going to get an easy road. If you get out of the region, you're gonna definitely have been battle tested. Porter, you ever been to Kansas?
No, I have not.
Okay. And are you making the trip, or are you just going to be doing it from far away?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to make the first round. If not, watch the championship game when Arkansas wins.
Okay. Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. But I think what we really have to look forward to is, some of these teams that are trying to get in TBT, they really don't know what they're getting themselves into as a roster. And when they get that taste of TBT and they come back, now they know what to expect. So of course you've got the Golden Eagles, the Aftershocks, TNT or TMT, and they know what they're getting out of their roster. I'm more scared of the teams that come back and now they know, all right, we got to build a bigger, better roster, and you never know who they're going to get coming into the TBT tournament.
Yeah, you can never really bet on a new team, because even though they have all the talent in the world, they're coming in not knowing what's going on. They've never done it before. That's why I'm always a little skeptical. As good as, like, for example, like, I love the hate on Tennessee, the Volunteers have a loaded roster. I mean, they're going to be a really solid team, but they've never done the event before. So what's that mean? Lofton's played before for other teams, but, like, what's that going to mean as getting their feet wet, being a TBT virgin? Like, what's that going to mean? You guys aren't that. You guys have been here before. You've played before. You've seen the experience. Let's talk a little bit about the roster specifically. I see a lot of talent here. I also see a slight lack in size. Like, you're a little smaller team at this point. Would that be a fair thing to say, Keith? Like, a lot of guards and wings, it looks like right now.
Yeah, we had Charles Thomas locked in. He's a 6'9" forward, a veteran, brings a lot of overseas experience, but he actually had something come up. He's not going to be with us. So that kind of hurt us a little bit. But like I said, we still got a couple of weeks. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah, so I mean, like, what kind of players, and we won't even touch on the obvious thing that gets talked about a lot in those TBT circles of a certain player who might be committed somewhere else, who might be committed to you guys at some point. But what kind of players are you looking for to round out this roster?
I mean, I think, you hit the hammer on the head right there. Obviously, we need some size. I think we got shooters in Barford. We got some really good guards in Josh Hagans, who it's a funny story. Josh Hagans has tried to play in TBT for 3 years now. And, something's always came up. He got hurt 2 years ago, and then he was going to play last year with COVID. He's going to be a really good guy to look out for. But like I said, we got size, we got shooters, maybe another knockdown shooter, and then maybe a little bit more size, and should be good.
Yeah. I mean, I think the way you guys are probably end up playing with this skill set and the way Arkansas has historically played fast, the lack of size won't probably be much of a problem. TBT is not usually rich in size anyway, because the reality is, like, there's talented guards all over the place. It's really hard to find talented size. So it's really rare to have a team that's built around it big. I mean, unless you have like an Isaiah Austin level center, you're usually not building around post play generally. So yeah, look at this roster. There's obviously some great things to add. Porter, what excites you most about the roster they've been able to put together so far? Like, what is the biggest get? And the obvious answer is Barford coming over from back over from the underdogs and playing up to the alumni team. But, like, what has been the most interesting thing you've seen about the roster construction, having observed it?
I would have to say it's not just Barford, but getting Barford and who he can attract to come play, because he has success with the underdogs. And again, with that Arkansas role, he was a star at Arkansas. He's not just some role player that just happened to put on a Razorback uniform. He was one of the all-time greats that has played at his position, and it's still fresh to where this era of fans know who he is. So he can attract the new guys and people from other areas, and then his overseas experience. So it's a mixture of, it's an alumni team. You can get some of the Arkansas guys, but yet his overseas experience, he can bring in some of those guys as well.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and ask the obvious question and get the obvious answer. So you know what I'm asking. I know the answer is no, but ISO Joe, Arkansas legend. We know the answer. Is he going to be suiting up for Team Arkansas this year?
I actually talked to him yesterday, and he just, told me plain and simple that he cannot play in Big Three and TBT. I want to make sure that there was no TBT team that gets him, but talked to me yesterday. He actually followed us too. So, hey, be on the lookout for 2022 maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I really, it's interesting too, because the Big Three is a really interesting event. Like, I'm obviously, I have a podcast about one and not the other. So I'm definitely much more of a a lover of the TBT, mainly because they go the full 94 feet for one. They don't just, cut the court in half and call it a day. But it seems to be a little more competitive ball. But I guess the idea of playing against a little more name brand stuff kind of might be more interesting in some respects. So I was kind of hoping you'd come back and play with you guys, but obviously it's a hard sell for non-guaranteed money. I get that. Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting. I really, really, really like this roster though. Keith, just a personal note, you have a big week coming up. Anything you want to share just for people about balancing life commitments with running a team?
Yeah, I'm fixing to put TBT on hold for at least a week or so. I'm going to get married next Saturday and going to go off to West or East Tennessee for our honeymoon. And so still got a couple of weeks when we get back for, the team application, whatever you call it, the ending and all that. So we got a couple of weeks to round out our roster and, go from there.
So Porter, have you met Keith's fiance?
No, I have not. And actually, it's weird that I've only met two of my other co-hosts for my podcast once, and me and Keith have never really met in person. It's crazy how what social media and Zoom has done. You could still feel, you could still build and bond with these guys. I felt like they're all my brothers, and we've only met one time. And Keith, I've never met in person. It's awesome what TBT's done for me and Keith, because it's kind of brought us together.
Oh yeah, no, I'm looking forward to meeting Charge for the first time when we go cover Charleston. But we've never met in person. I've never met any of these. The only person I've met in person so far is Reg from D3, because he lives in upstate New York. So we had a beer in his garage during COVID. I was sitting in a coat like this, freezing during the Porters, because his wife's a beer distributor. Keith, the honeymoon's in East Tennessee?
Yeah, Smoky Mountains.
Okay, does the place you're staying allow dogs?
They do not.
Oh, well, but how's your wife going to go? Because I assume she has a seeing eye dog, because if she's marrying you, she's blind, right? Let's just cut to the chase. She can't see, I assume?
April Fool's joke was, April Fool's Day was a couple of weeks ago.
She's like, I love Keith. I love the way he looks. He feels. It's just ridiculous. No, I mean, the Porter, are you married?
Yes. Been married 5 years. I've got two stepsons and a son. And so yeah, it's been a real fun ride. Finally feel like an adult when you meet the right one.
I met the right one, but we never did the marrying thing. The person on the other side of this wall I've been with for 22 years. So we've never actually done the whole marriage thing, because she likes me just enough to keep me around, but not enough to, wear anything with a round gold thing on it that has my name attached to it, which I understand. She's a fairly pretty person, and I'm not the same thing. So I guess the question with that then is, Keith, how much has your fiance already spent your winnings?
No, she has not. I don't think she's going to. We're going to take it one game at a time and, go for what we can go. And whatever happens after that, it's, the Lord's plan.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I think this is a good way to sort of summarize this too, because there's teams that come in with different goals, right? There's teams like, and we'll use a team name we really love, like Kimchi Express. They're friends of the pod. They're great, but they're coming in to try to steal a couple games, get their name out there. And if they can win, no one's coming in to just not win. Everybody's coming in to win, but there's reasonable expectations for success. Win a game, win two. With the roster you've already put up with some of the people you're still chasing, reasonable success, I assume, involves winning the whole thing, right? That's kind of the team you've built. This is a team that can win the whole thing.
Right. 100%.
Yeah.
After the last couple of years, we've gone back and seen what we've, done and not done, and the camaraderie between the teams and all that. And we tried to build upon that. And this year, I feel like we've got guys really invested, role players, guys that are going to do what we ask and nothing more than that. And that's something that, has hindered us in the past.
Yeah, I actually like what you said about the role players too, because it really helps to have teams that people are willing to sort of share the load. And let me ask a question. That raises a good question, and this is a philosophical thing. Are you guys a even split team on winning share? And you don't have to share. You don't have to share that. You don't have to share that if you don't want to.
It's pretty controversial. It's subject to change. How about that?
Sure, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, I think every team that's won so far, I think, has been an even share team. I don't think anybody's had split shares as one yet. I think because you want the guy who's setting the screens and putting up 3 a game to know his share isn't based upon him having to score points. The key thing being satellite cancer, they had like Creek and Keen and Abel doing all the shooting. that MVP of that team was Eric Thompson, setting those screens and springing everybody. And he never saw the ball in offense unless it was a putback, and he still worked harder than anybody. So having those role players buy in, that's something pretty interesting to work with. I wasn't trying to ask you a trap question too. I was just asking philosophically what that.
Hey,
means.
let me tell you this real quick. So me and the coach actually talked a couple of weeks ago, and I said, why don't we split the money evenly and then set aside 50 grand? And I said, the guy that takes the most charges, 10 grand. The guy that has the most deflections, 10 grand. All that. He said, Keith, that's a horrible idea. I said, okay, well, I give up. Let's just split it evenly then. So we'll just
mind that. I mean, statistical stuff's tough. What you could do, and we're just talking now because obviously we're just trying to make this interesting. But what would be interesting is if you had a separate, small pile of money, and it was voted on by the players. The rule is they couldn't vote for themselves; they just couldn't. And then the players gave an extra share to whoever, and they could basically do like a way of splitting. It might be too much math though. You might just be better off just doing equal shares. It's just the amount of math, or you could just put down 20 grand for the after party in Dayton. I'm not really sure what the clubs in Dayton look like on a Tuesday night whenever this ends, but you might want to pop a few bottles on that night. Well, guys, I'm really excited about this team. I cannot tell you enough how I've loved this team coming together. I really appreciate you guys coming on. I'm extremely excited about Team Arkansas. And Charge and I, who wish you could be here tonight, are really high on your team. So we just can't wait to see more of this team. So we're really hoping you guys do well. And just make sure you don't stay strangers. We want to hear more about your rosters and growth. Okay. Thanks for coming on, guys.
That's great. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, man. I'm excited.
Oh, can't be more excited. Okay, this is Charge and Hainer presents ZoomTBT with Keith and Porter. More Zoom the TBT next with Charge and Hainer. We're about to talk with Jaylen Barford, star guard for Team Arkansas. Next. Hey guys, it's Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hainer. We got a special treat. We got star do everything guard and reigning Memphis TBT regional champion, Jaylen Barford, which it looks like a very small child in your arms.
Yeah, yes, my son.
What's your son's name?
Casey.
Hi, Casey. Well, Casey making his podcast premiere, and he has something to say, clearly. So you gotta like that. It's good to be back home with your kid, right?
Always.
I mean, it's one of the hard things people I don't think get about playing overseas is that you got to basically put your family life kind of on hold when you go over there. And it's a long season, right?
Yeah, it is. It can, if you go during training camp, I would say around like August, and then if you make the playoffs, it'll end in probably about June sometimes. So it could be rough.
That's a pretty long season. I mean, they take good care of you over there. They cover a lot of your expenses. That's still a long season.
Yeah, they do. They take care of you for sure. They give you good food, great place to stay. You got a car, so I mean, it got its pros and cons, but it's the life we live in when we play professional basketball.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I remember I was talking to Adonis Thomas, a former Memphis alum, and he was telling me the best thing about the money is they just give it to you, and the taxes are taken care of. Usually, they take care of it on their end. So some teams just give you money, just cash, basically.
Yeah, some teams will do that. Depends where you at, but
just literal bags of money, which sounds kind of delightful, to be honest with you, as someone who works for a living just like you. Okay, so let's talk about that. So you were over in Italy. That was your first time. This is your first season in Serie A, correct?
No, I played last year. I was with Pesaro, and I played with Rome.
Okay. So see, that just shows you how uneducated even people who care about this thing are about European basketball sometimes. So you were saying that Cremona, which is the team you played for, is finished to be in the relegation zone. And not only did you guys not get relegated, it looks like you guys have a shot at the playoffs.
Yeah, we actually made a little run at the end of the last 9 games. We won some big games actually, and we end up being tied for the 8th spot in the playoffs. We lost the last game to Milan, that's predicted to win the Serie A and EuroLeague actually.
Mm-hmm. So what has been the best part of playing overseas in Italy this year? Like, has it grown your game any, or?
I would say it did a lot, especially on the defensive side, because you always got to match up with probably the other import, and of course the imports do most of the scoring sometimes, and you don't want to get killed by your opponent. So you got to lock.
Because you'll never hear the end of it. Because the thing is,
never hear the end of it.
It's a small community of Americans overseas because they have import limits, right? They only play like 3 guys a team or something, right?
Yeah, it's like it depends where you at. I think China is like 3. I think in Europe it's maybe 5 or 6. So.
Yeah, that's why everybody's trying to get that dual citizenship passport too to make it easy on things, right?
Yeah, that's big, right? That's going on big right now, actually.
So, what European country would you want to be a citizen of if you had to do dual?
I don't know yet. I've been to Italy so far. Italy been cool, but I want to go some other places maybe and try to see what I like.
No, fair enough. So let's talk a little bit more domestically as opposed to just talking about your European exploits. You're coming back with your friends from Team Arkansas. You're a Hog. Now, the last few years you've played rather successfully with a team you sort of co-founded, the Jackson Underdogs, and you guys actually went from the 8th seed to winning the entire Memphis Regional back in 2019. So first of all, what's it like changing from a team that you were sort of kind of the focal point on offense on all sides of it to being one part, still a focal point, but having teammates who can shoulder a little bit more of the scoring burden?
It's going to be pretty interesting. I mean, some of the players on the team I played with in college, I think probably about 4, maybe 5 of them I played with in college. But I mean, we got some great pieces with the Arkansas team players from the past as well. So it should be exciting. I'm excited to play. I'm ready to put on the red and white again. It's gonna be fun. But it was a great run with the Underdogs. I'm gonna catch back up on that. It was a great run with the Underdogs. I was the focal point for that team, but it will feel good. Have some players that actually play. Every day, like me as well. But not to knock my Underdog crew, because I mean I can go against them against anybody in the world. I feel like so.
Yeah. I mean, no hard feelings. Just I guess because you guys were really going to host a region in 2020 before the world effectively ended.
Yeah, I think last year was our year to win. I say that honestly. I feel like it was set up for us to win, but COVID just knocked us down. So it was cool. It's all right.
Well, maybe you can win a chip with Arkansas, win that $1 million, and then reconstitute a team and be the first guy to win a chip with 2 separate teams.
Yeah. Hopefully I can do that.
I say that. Watch, someone's going to tell me someone's already done that too, and I'm not like an idiot, which I'm fine. I don't research this too tightly. So let's talk a little bit about recruiting. I'm looking at this roster. You've got some really talented players: Thomas, Mickelson, Witt, Higgins, Qualls, Jones, Cook, and you. There's a couple of roster spots you can still fill. Now, I know Sammy Williams is kind of helping run the show along with Keith, but what are you looking for in those next couple roster spots to fill out your team? Because it looks like you've got a lot of size. Do you need a little more in the wing? Like, what are you trying to add?
We really want to add definitely length, versatility, really like the Razorback basketball style of play. Really have no positions, just, try to get out on the fast break. So, of course, a little bit more length, but mostly versatility for sure. Definitely going to do that. So. Yeah,
there's 2 ways to go with that comment, too, about the style of play and also the recruiting. So we'll just stick with the recruiting for a minute. I mean, there is a player who played really well last year in the TBT for some team wearing green. I forgot the name of the guy, and I forgot the team, some team in West Virginia, but I know he went to Arkansas. And I know he's the big question about where he's going to end up playing, since he's currently on the website for Herd That, I think. Any chance of flipping Ja'Cory?
I think we might be able to flip him. I don't know. We're gonna see though. We're gonna see. Hopefully we can. I think we got the right pieces for him to agree with us and make a run in the tournament. I think if we got him, that'll be a big step for us for sure.
Yeah, it's always a recurring theme on this podcast this season. Has been everybody wants a piece of Ott Elmore. Like that's basically like everybody mentions him, like wants a piece of Herd That. They've been basically the wearing black villains of the whole thing. I think they like that. But yeah, Ja'Cory's got 2. Go ahead.
I like Elmore. He don't fear nobody. I like that, man. I would love to play against him, actually. You know what I'm saying? I would love to see him on the pick and roll. I definitely would love to see him on the pick and roll.
Well, maybe you guys can get to Dayton together. I mean, there's no reason you guys both can't qualify. I'm kind of bummed you guys are going to Wichita. I was hoping you go someplace I was going to cover it, but Wichita, I'm going to West Virginia instead, I think, to cover the first weekend. So I'll miss you guys, but I'll be watching on TV. I'll be watching the replay. But no, so looking at that, so much, Corey, but talking about style of play too. I mean, we're both Mid-South guys. You and I are both from Western Tennessee. You're from Jackson, I'm from Memphis. But we also know Hogs basketball, like all Mid-South basketball, loves to play fast. You love to play fast. You like to attack. you have the pieces to do it. Is this going to be like a Mike Anderson kind of get up and down, play 94 feet, strike the fear of God into people in the press kind of team?
Probably we might do a little some pressing here and there just to spice things up, depending who we play.
Yeah,
and we just gotta have the right players on the floor to do it. I mean, everybody knows like what's at hand. We shouldn't need too much motivation. So
yeah,
we're gonna see when we finish up the roster for sure. But I think everybody, the pieces we got that would gel together, I think it's gonna be great for us.
Yeah, that makes sense. Definitely. I mean, I mean, teams aren't going to. Professional basketball players aren't going to press 40 minutes. That's nuts.
Yeah,
but I mean, in a pinch, I'm sure it's something you guys can go to.
Yeah.
So on this team, you've got a lot of talent. Who's taking the last shot though when it counts? I assume I know the answer to that one.
Definitely me. I'm the closer. That's me. I'm the closer, man. I'm probably definitely. I'm definitely taking the last shot. I'm the closer though. That's
Ask dumb question, get dumb answer, right?
yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Anything now? Have you had a chance to look a little bit at the regional out in Wichita, see who's out there, like who you thinking about you might get?
I haven't actually looked at it. Keith sends it to me sometimes, and then I forget to look at it. But.
No, that's fair. That's fair. It's still pretty early in the process. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. There's a lot of teams that are looking out there. I know.
Look at you.
He's got an opinion. He's like, what the heck? You got the Wichita State. You got the Florida TNT. They'll be pretty dangerous. They're pretty loaded. You got the Cheaters with Casper Ware. You got our fellow
LA Cheater.
Yeah, LA Cheaters. Yeah, Ware, Thompson. And just so Charge doesn't kill me, Camacho, because he's going to kill me otherwise. You got some real talent out there. Should be a pretty fun roster. But I think you guys got a good shot at coming out. So we're going to keep this pretty short because we already taped with Keith and Porter. But real quick, any message you want to give to either Arkansas fans or your opponents? Probably maybe we should keep it friendly. Just keep it. Is there a message you have for your Arkansas, for your Razorback fans about supporting the team in TBT?
I would love for the Razorback fans, to watch us, and hopefully we make it out the region and hopefully win $1 million. That way we can have the region in Fayetteville, Arkansas next year. There's the goal.
There we go. Yeah, you heard it here first. They're going to try to get a region in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
I know for a fact, I want everybody in the world to know this, TBT, everybody. If we get the region in Fayetteville, Arkansas, we will sell out every game. 20,000.
Can you just repeat that and tag Dan for real? Can you say, Dan, we will sell out the region?
We will. TBT. Head of TBT, director, vice president, GM. We have I'm telling you, we're gonna make the $1 million back next year. We're gonna make it back. You have it in Fayetteville, Arkansas, we're gonna make the $1 million in that one night. Just one night. and Budweiser Arena is gonna rock. It's gonna go crazy. I'm telling you.
That's probably the best pitch I've ever heard trying to get a region. And keep in mind, you also Jaylen, they owe you a region.
Say it again.
They owe you a regional.
They owe me a region. If it was in Jackson, it would have been crazy. It definitely been crazy.
That would have been a lot of fun. I was looking forward to that.
Yeah, I was going to
fly down. I was considering flying down for that, actually. I was going to fly back to Memphis, see my parents, go to see that, actually.
Yeah, man, that was going to be one for the books.
That's okay. That's okay. You're going to make it happen this year. So trying to win that $1 million. I got Jaylen Barford from Team Arkansas signing off for ZoomTheTBT.
Hope you enjoyed listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner. Subscribe to YouTube, follow on Twitter, and give us your money.